Alright, welcome back guys to another reloading video. We are going to get our journey started on the 223 for the Stag Arms AR15. I have not reloaded for 223 a lot. I owned AR15 back in the day and it was way before I ever started reloading. I've been reloading for over 11 years, but I owned it way before I started reloading, so this will be the first time I'm starting to reload for 223. Now it's all basic reloading still. I mean, just, you know, a new caliber for me. So we're going to start off from there. So when you guys get a brand new caliber, you got to start from scratch. So the first things first would be to, I already threw out the video of all our components, so you guys know what we're working with for components. So first things first, when you're starting off fresh for a new caliber, is you got to pick your bullet out. What bullet you're going to be reloading for first. We are going to be, for this reloading session, we're going to be reloading a couple bullets. But you guys probably are going to pick one, maybe two bullets, but it don't really matter. So pick the bullet out that you're going to be using for the first time you're reloading, and take your modified case that you guys made, whether you're using the split case method or not, or the actual OAL gauge. Take that and, you know, get your overall measurement for every bullet you use for that new caliber. And that's how I write down all my stuff. It's just caliber, you know, specific, or gun specific. Because you can't just treat all 308s the same either. So I got it in categorized by gun and what caliber it is, and I take all my measurements and write them down in that section. So for all of these measurements, it's going to be under the Stag Arms 223 AR15. So the first two bullets I'm going to use, I'm going to take the overall length of them and write them down. Now, since it's an AR15, most likely you're going to be limited by the magazine anyways. So that's another number you need to write down next, is your magazine length. Now, for the AR15, or the bullets we're working with today, it's the SIERRA Match King and Hornady match bullets, both 53 grain. The SIERRA Match King touches the lands at 2.355, and the Hornady touches at 2.306. Now I took the magazine measurement and it's 2.265. So right there you guys can tell that we're going to be, like I said, limited by the magazine. But at least we know that. At least we know, you know, we can't load these bullets out to, you know, their full potential. So magazine was 2.265. We're going to round that down to 2.260 just to make sure they fit in the magazine. We'll do 5 thousandths off and we'll go from there. Alright, and once you have those measurements, it's basic reloading after that. And you know, you guys can start your normal routine for reloading. The reloading video we're going to do is probably a versus video. We're going to start a couple of those probably. We'll do a few of them. But in this one we're going to do 53 grain Hornady match, hollow point, flat based, and up against the 53 grain SMK flat based hollow point. So both are flat based, both are 53 grain, and both are match. So that will be a good a versus video up against each other. And within these videos, these few versus videos I'm going to do, hopefully we find a couple good loads to write down and send back to the guy who loaned us the rifle. So that takes care of bullets. For primers, we're going to be using the CCI number 400 small rifle primers. We're going to stick with those unless we have to change for some reason. Now I got a bunch of powders, but for today we're going to start off with CFE 223, just because it's a popular powder and everybody has it and a lot of people have good luck with it. We'll start off with that powder. We also have Winchester 748 we're going to try, a few IMR powders, some BLC2, H4895. So we have a few 223 powders that we can try out, but for the first few we'll probably be just sticking with CFE 223. I got plenty of it, and it's a popular powder. So that is components. Next step is basically, like I said, just getting your rotation of reloading from here on out. Once you know your numbers, your OAL numbers, your mag length numbers, and all that, it's just normal reloading for the caliber after that. For brass, we're going to change stuff up because we're trying to beat the Black Hills ammo we shot on the channel. Now, I was going to use that and reload that brass, but one thing I noticed, it's remanufactured Black Hills ammunition. So I don't know how many times it's been fired. It's obviously at least 2. If you guys know any more about that, let me know in the comments, because I've never seen that before. And looking at those head stamps on that Black Hills ammo, here, let me grab the box. So yeah, it's this stuff right here. Black Hills ammunition remanufactured 223 Remington. It is match ammunition, 52 grain match hollow point. But one thing I noticed, all of this brass it's not fully mixed head stamp, but it has 2 different head stamps on it. It's got Lake City, like 09 or something, and WCC, which I'm pretty sure is Winchester brass. So I've just never seen that before. I've never seen mixed brass in factory ammunition before. So yeah, if you guys know anything more about that, let me know. Also, I took out some of these, I checked out this brass and tumbled it, and I found 6 split necks. So, long story short, we're not going to use that brass. I have some brand new PPU. Already been annealed, comes from the factory annealed, so it's all brand new brass. So this first reloading we do here obviously ain't going to be fire form brass, it's going to be from new brass, but at least we're starting off fresh. Alright, so next step is brass prep. First thing you want to do is take the headspace measurement. Now this is all brand new brass, so what I'm going to do for the bolt gun, as you guys know and see me do, I reload that from pretty much, I bump the shoulders 1 to 2 thousandths. Well, ARs you kind of want to do a little bit more than that for reliability reasons and a few other reasons, but you don't want to bump your brass minimally for AR. Now you don't have to go overboard, but I shoot for about 3 to 4 thousandths for ARs. Just so they feed. Now, if you want to single feed ARs, then sure, you can do whatever you want, really. But yeah, I'm never gonna single feed an AR, and that's why I reload to magazine length as well. Just because it's pointless for me. An AR is meant to be fed from a magazine, so I'm gonna do that. Since this is brand new brass, it should fit just about every rifle, so it's going to be at around minimum spec. So I'm not going to really work this brass much for this first firing. We're going to barely kiss the shoulder and go from there. So the headspace starting out on brand new brass is 1.441. Let's check a couple of these. 1.441. And we'll do one more. I'll go through and check a few more though off camera. Yep, 441. Alright, so next step will be to start resizing these things. And we'll go from there. First things first for brass prep is get these things sized. Order of operation for brass prep for me is take the headspace measurement, figure out my bump, whether I'm going to bump or like these new cases I'm not going to. So get these sized to what you want them to be sized to. After they're all sized, clean the primer pocket if you need to, but if it's new brass, don't worry about it. Next, take your case measurement to know if you got a trim or not. And then if you do have to trim it, chamfer, deburr. If you don't have to trim, then just chamfer, deburr, and it's ready for powder and bullet. So start this first process, getting these things sized. We're going to use Imperial sizing die wax. It is my go-to for just about all reloading. I use Lee's sizing lubricant as well, but lately I've been using this stuff. Plus it lasts so long, I'll be using this for a while. Now, since I don't want these to be bumped really at all, we're going to kiss the shell holder and then back off probably, kiss the shell holder and we'll back off half turn. Go from there. So take your measurement. As you guys saw, we were at 1.441, and you just need that measurement so you know you're not overworking the brass. Well, even from normal headspace, if it's once fired, that's basically all you're doing with that measurement, making sure you're only bumping 2000s or only bumping 3000s, you know. That's why you're taking that measurement first. So 1.441, I want to make sure that number stays the same, or maybe a half to 1000ths, just so I know I'm touching the shoulder, and we'll go from there. Because brand new brass should fit just about every gun. That's what it's meant to do. Okay, so that didn't touch anything, I can tell. But I'll take a measurement real quick. 441. Screw down a little bit more. Check it. 4415, still the same. Put a little bit more lube on it. These are brand new clean dies. Well, you know, I just alcoholed them, so I want to make sure these aren't sticky. So go down another little turn, like 1/8 of a turn. Okay, so 441, and so the 5 is gone. So it's 441 now. So we did bump it a half thousandths. I'm going to go down just a tad more, see if we can get that rest of that thousandths off. 4405, 4415. So you can tell it's just kissing the shoulder. So let's go down just a tad bit more. Get a little more lube on the case. Oh, that was too much. I can tell already. I betcha. I betcha. Nope. Okay. So that ain't bad. 1.440 or 1.4395. So that's perfect. So we're going to run through all the cases like that. And we'll bring you back for the rest of brass prep. Alright guys, we are fully resized. Now I'm just wiping off the case lube with some alcohol. That will be your next step. Definitely get that done because you get a lot more bolt pressures and a lot more wear on your gun if you do not wipe off the lube with alcohol. You definitely want to use alcohol because just wiping it with a cloth, you may think you got it all, but it still leaves some. Alright, so we are going to do 25 rounds. Changed up the plan a little bit. We'll still do 25 rounds, but we're going to do 3 rounds each. So 4 loads of the Hornady, 4 loads of the Sierra, and then we'll have 1 Fowler. We'll do that. The reason why I do it that way, well, for one, I like just using 3 bullets for load development because it saves on components and you get the same results. I know a lot of people say you can't see anything with just 3 rounds, but as you guys have seen, I can get to my load pretty easily with 3 rounds. Because if 3 rounds go all near each other, then you know you got a starting off with a decent, accurate tunable load. Now if you know, a bunch go different directions, and you know it's not good. So it only takes 3. You don't gotta add 2 more. Like say you got 3 shots that are away from each other. You don't gotta add 2 more to make it a 5-shot group because the group ain't gonna get any smaller. So it's already the group that size that it is. So also I like shooting this many because it's just so hot and buggy out nowadays. Later on in the winter I may do 50 shot you know, rounds. I'll still probably do 3 shots each, but we may shoot 50 shots later on once it starts getting a little cooler. But right now I can get through barely 25 shots. So 25 is good for the weather we have nowadays. You know, until later on, this is good. So we're gonna go with the same load for both, because this is a comparison video. We're gonna put the Hornady up against the Sierra, so it has to be fair. You know, as fair as we can. This ain't scientific, but as fair as we can. So the Hodgdon website, the Hodgdon reloading data for CFP 223 says for a 53 grain hollow point bullet, says 27 to 28.5 max. So the loads for today, we're going to be doing, like I said, the same for both Sierra and Hornady. We're going to be doing 27.6 up to 28.5. So that will give us 4 rounds each, and we're going to be doing it for both bullets. That will be the loads for today. Same primer for both, same brass for both, so it keeps it pretty fair. Alright, so next step in brass prep is getting these things measured for trimming, if we need trimming. Get your calipers out, get them all zeroed. So trim for 223 is 1.750 and max is 1.760. So let's go through a couple of these, see if we're going to need to trim them. That's 751, so that's under max. This one's 754, so that's under max. 754, 752. So yeah, looking like these are all under max length. 753. I'll check the rest of these and we'll see you in the next step. So next step is getting these things primed. None of them need to be trimmed. So let's get these things primed up. Like I said, we are using CCI number 400s. And like I've said to you guys before, I prime on the press. Like I've showed you guys, same thing for any other caliber. We're just using small, the small primer setup instead of the large, and you're still priming on the downstroke. These were new cases, so you didn't need to mess with the primer pockets, but that would be your next step if it was once fired, is make sure your primer pockets are clean. And that's it. So I'll show you a couple of these guys and then I'll get them all finished. These primer pockets seem really good. It's brand new brass, so expect anything else. It is PPU brass though, so I'm not sure how good PPU brass is. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, like really anything you you experience in life. There's always bad stuff about everything. But so far, the primer pockets feel okay. And they were all, the headspace from the factory came out very evenly. So, they were all 1.441 headspace. And I mean, very consistent. So, that's a good thing as well. So the only thing with priming you got to do is get it primed and then run your finger over the top of it, the primer. Make sure it's just below flush or at flush. Just below is better. Just a hair below flush is perfect. Alright, I'm going to show you guys one more, and I'll see you guys on the next step. It's looking good. Alright guys, I'll get the rest of these set up and see you in the next process. Alright guys, they're all sized, primed, ready to go. Now, I did kind of mess up the order. Because they didn't need to be trimmed, you still should chamfer and deburr these. And I usually like to do that before the primer's in. But if the primer's in, just instead of doing it like this, just do it onto the side. That way the brass shavings don't go into the case and down into the primer. And then give it a good tap, and you're good to go. And like I said, you only need to spin it a couple times. You're not looking for a sharp edge on it. You're just looking for a decent little chamfer. It helps the bullet seat better. Also, it's another step that you can feel the brass and make sure you don't have any split necks or any deformities. Another hands-on process to take out any bad brass. Alright guys, I'm going to finish these up and I'll see you in the next step. Alright guys, we're all set up for powder now. Our cases are all prepped. They're resized, primed, the primer pockets are good to go, they're chamfered, deburred, they didn't need to be trimmed. So now we are ready for powder next. And like I said before, we're going from 27.6 to 28.5. So our first charge is 27.6. So let's get that going. Now I'm just going to use my balance beam scales. My electronic scales, because this ain't my bench rest gun. I don't really need my balance beams. I want them as accurate as I can, but I've cross-referenced this Frankfurt Arsenal electric scale, and man, it's a very accurate electronic scale. So it's accurate enough for what I need with this AR15. Now don't get me wrong, I'm expecting very accurate groups, and I should still be able to get that with just using the electronic scale, because the owner of this rifle, it is a Krieger barrel, heavy profile, and he said he's gone it under a ½ inch with factory. So so we should be able to reach ½ inch with hand loads. With load development, we should be able to get under ½ inch. Alright, 25.8. We're looking for 27.6, 27.5, and 27.6. It's reading 27.7, so I'm just going to take a couple kernels out. Good enough. 27.6. Alright, I'm going to show you guys one more. And then we'll get into bullet seating. Oh, 27.5. There we go. There we go. 27.6. Alright guys, I'm going to bring you back at bullet seating. The Sierras are going to get charged the same way, so there's no sense in, unless anything weird happens, I'll turn the camera back on, but I'll see you at bullet seating. Alright guys, we have all our charges weighed out from 27.6 to 28.5, going up 3/10, and the same for both bullets. So let's seat a couple of the Hornady. First things first is put your seating, this is a Lee, your seating die, and put it so it touches the shell holder, and if you want to crimp, then you adjust for the crimp, but screw this down so it hits the shell holder, and then I back off about a half turn because I don't want to crimp, because if I'm going to add a crimp, I'm just going to use the Lee factory die, or the Lee crimping die. So no sense in crimping with the seating die. I don't like doing both functions with the seating die. So put this, screw your seating die down until it hits the shell holder, lower your ram, and unscrew it about a half turn, and then back your seating stem all the way out and go from there. Now, like I said, I don't have my bullet comparator in, so I'm going from base to tip for this session only, because every other time you guys hear me spout off a bullet measurement, it's most likely going to be CBTO, cartridge base to ogive, not base to tip. Alright, so I back the seating stem all the way out. Well, first things first, one thing I want to show you guys. So make sure you take all your cases and look in them. Go down, make sure you have powder in all of them. Look down in all of them with a flashlight if need be. Make sure they're out about all the same level. Well, I mean, if you're doing a powder test, then they're not going to be the same level, but and just double check. So now our fowler, we made one fowler, and it's the powder is the same as the first charge. 27.6 grains is our first charge, and that's our fowler as well. Okay, so put a bullet in, ram it up. If you felt it make a little bit of contact, even though I put this all the way, you know, as far as I can up, it still made a little bit of contact. So just take your measurement. So we're looking for 2.260, which is mag length. So we have a long ways to go. So give it about a full turn in, or half turn in. .325, still have a long ways to go. Make sure these are zeroed. Yep, they're zeroed. So another half turn. I don't like doing full turns because you sneak up on that number pretty quick, and I hate overshooting it and then have to bang the bullet out a little bit. So 288. So we're looking for 260. Let's go with that. Should be around 265-ish. And we're sitting at 253. See? So I overshot it, just like I told you I would. I usually do. So yeah, we'll go with that number. Actually, you know what? I'm going to load them all to 255 because I want to make sure they definitely fit in the mag. So let me back off on this a little bit. The first one's going to be a couple thousandths short, so that's fine, no big deal. Alright, so 2.255 is what we'll go for this overall length. Just because the magazine measured out to 2.265, and I was going to 260 to take 5 thousandths off, but I'll take 10 thousandths off just to make sure it fits in the mag. So 251. Holy cow, why is this going down? Let me back that off again and go for the next one. Oh, I know why. Because I'm measuring base to tip. See, I'm always I'm always used to getting the same measurement over and over because I measure base to O drive, and this is why I hate measuring base to tip. Alright, so 251. So I'm going to have to allow for some fluctuation because you're measuring base to tip. So 255 I want. So I'll have to allow at least a couple thou fluctuation for base to tip. So let me dial this one into 255, and then I'm just going to seat them all at that. So 264. Two 260. And 255. Okay, so I'll seat them all at that number, and whatever they are, it don't really matter. I'm not going to keep adjusting the seating stem. There's no sense. So that was the Hornady load. So now let's go to the Sierra load. Oh, actually no, because both bullets are going to read a little bit different. So let me seat all the Hornady first, because they're all the same. So let's get all these seated, and then I will bring you guys back. Well, here, I'll show you one more real quick. So the last one was seated at 255. Let's see what this one is. This one's 260. So yeah, when you're measuring base to tip, you're going to have to allow, you know, around 3, 4, 5 thousandths difference in measurement, because it's just not an accurate measurement. That's why I like having the comparator and measuring bullet to ogive, because as you guys seen me do many times, when you're measuring bullet to ogive, every single one will measure the same. I mean, within a thousandths or so. Alright guys, I'll bring you back to show you a few of the seating the Sierra bullets. Alright guys, moving on to the Sierra bullets. Now I'll have to back off the seating stem, because just because they're the same 53 grains, the shape of the bullet can be different. And I recommend looking into each case as you're bringing it up to the press to be seated. Every time you seat a bullet, check in it before you actually seat it. So these are going to be the same number, but like I said, you got to back out your seating stem because, you know, it's a different shaped bullet. The ogive is different on it, and the tip is different, so, or you won't get the same number if you leave it the same. So still looking for 255 or 260. You know, between there is good to go. Alright, see, I didn't back out enough, so 246. I'm going to make that my fouler. Luckily, I'm still on my my lowest charge, so I can make that my fouler, because my fouler is the set at the lowest powder charge. 260. I'm going to go down just a hair more and then seat the rest. Alright, 257, 2565. Let me go down just another smidgen. Alright, 256. Alright, let's do one more. Let's see what this one turns out to be. Another thing, guys, is I run it up in there, start seating the die, start seating the bullet, and then give it a little spin. And it's supposed to help seat the bullet in there a little bit straighter. It helps with your concentricity and all that. So this one's 2565, so decent readings. Let's do one more. Give it a little spin. And seat it the rest of the way. Yeah, it's just supposed to help with concentricity when you do that. 2.256. So yeah, so these Sierras, they are more consistent than the Hornady from base to tip. Or their hollow point is a little more consistent, so it's measuring a little more consistent. Not much more. I mean, the Hornady's, I was getting within a few thousandths once I dialed it in, so it's not that much more, but give it a little spin and then finish seating it. But I can tell these are, yeah, see, so that one's 260, so yeah, I guess they're about the same. Let me seat this one. I didn't move the die down, but I'm going to make sure I push firmly on the handle. Yeah, 259. So that's acceptable. We'll deal with it. So they're all going to be around the same seating depth. They're going to be from 255 to 260. So they're all within the seating depth so far. And if anything interesting happens on the last few, or anything I need to talk to you guys about, I'll bring you back. If not, I'll see you out on the range. Alright guys, we are shooting our hand loads for the Stag Arms AR15 Frankenstein gun there. Parts AR15. So we are putting a couple bullets up against each other. Hornady against Sierra. And we're shooting the ones that we just reloaded there. And yeah, let's see how these guys match up against each other. Everything's at 100 yards, like always. And that's about it. Alright, let's get a fouling round in first. Alright, got the fouling round downrange. Now we will, which one do we want to do first? Sierra or Hornady? Let's do Hornady first. Bitten alive here. All right. Next up. Actually, you know what? We'll go to Sierra next. That way we're not, that way they get shot kind of evenly with the heated barrel. So Sierra 27.6 next. Before I do that, let me check the brass. Alright, Sierra 27.6 next. Alright, Hornady 27.9, I do believe. Alright, brass looks pretty good. We'll move on to Sierra. Alright, Sierra 26.9. Alright, brass looks good. Next up, Hornady. $28.2. Alright, brass looks good. Getting a minor ejector swipe, and it is minor. Alright, Sierra next. Alright, Sierra 28.2, third dot. Alright, last charge weight. We'll do Hornady 28.5. Check the brass real quick. Alright, just starting to get a circle mark. So it's safe enough to shoot, but I wouldn't keep my load at this this charge weight anyways. Alright, Sierra at that same charge weight, 28.5. Alright, last dot, last charge weight, Sierra, 28.5. Let me check that casing. Even though it's the same grain bullet, I still want to make sure. Alright, yeah. Same small little ejector swipe. So, we're good to go. we'll see you back up at the bench. Alright guys, we're back up at the bench. This is our brass. All looks pretty good. Like I said, our top charge got a little bit of a swipe. This camera isn't the best at focusing up close. That's as good as I can get you right there. But you can see on this edge right there, right by my fingernail, that is just a little bit of a ejector mark. So yeah, I wouldn't load up that top load anyways. For one, you'll see because of group size. For two, yeah, it's leaving a little bit of a pressure sign, so I wouldn't keep firing that in the gun anyways. Now, what we just fired is pretty safe. You're just going to do a few. But other than that, I wouldn't keep firing. I wouldn't make my load, like deer hunting load that and just keep firing that, or target load that. And hunting might be okay because you're only going to shoot it a few times a year, you know, but I wouldn't make that my target load. Alright, so now look at groups. Alright, so we start off with Hornady first, 27.6 grains. And that's not a bad group right there. And then we went to the Sierra Match King. That's not too bad. Like I said, I'll put the measurements up on the channel under the shorts under my channel, so yeah, you guys will be able to see the actual size of them. But so that was the second group. We alternated like you guys saw. I did Hornady first. I was going to shoot all Hornady first and then Sierra second, but I quickly figured out that wouldn't be fair because by the time I got to Sierra, the barrel would be hot as shit. So we alternated. So the third group was back up to Hornady, and that ain't bad either. I'd say that's about 1/2 inch as well. You got 2 through one hole there, and then one next to it. By the way, these are 1-inch dots. If I haven't ever told you guys that, they're all 1-inch dots. So I think they're 1-inch dots. Let me triple check. Yes, they're 1-inch dots. Okay, so third group. So far, Hornady has been doing really good with the first 2 low charges, and Sierra has sucked with the first 2 low charges. So then that's our fourth. So fifth shot back up to Hornady, and as you can see, Hornady starts opening up on the higher charges. Nothing special there. And then Sierra starts getting better. So that is actually very interesting. Hornady started off small, opened up. Sierra started off big and shrunk. So that's pretty neat. I like that. That's a cool result. So yeah. Then we go to our last Hornady group. There you go. I'd say that's definitely 1.5 inches, somewhere around there. And our Sierra group. So last 2 Sierras, beautiful, perfect. I'd say that's. So I'd say the bullets are actually pretty much tied. Hornady likes the lower end of the charges, and Sierra likes the higher end of the charges. So yeah. I wouldn't mind loading either one of these bullets. So yeah, that's the group results, guys. We will be testing out a new bullet next. Not sure what I'm gonna put up against each other, but yeah, I'll figure that out in the next video. We'll pick out another couple bullets and put them up against each other and test out. I don't have I may have another even match like this at 53 grains each, but if I don't, then we may just test out one bullet at a time, or I may have to order, I'll probably order a couple bullets too. We can still do a versus video even though they're not the same grain weight, because I have a bunch more Sierra Match Kings, but I don't know if I have a bunch more Hornadys and Sierra Match Kings, but I don't know if I have both in the same grain weight again. So, but we can still put two bullets up against each other even though they're not the same grain weight. It won't be apples to apples, but that's okay. Alright guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.